Vernon Darby, roll, ready fi roll, ready fi roll.
Welcome back. You're listening to Rhythm FM coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica. And today is supposed to, is it today? Yeah, it's a National Day of Mourning, but I didn't see anything happening out there this morning. I'd love to hear from my listeners if they have seen anything, any demonstrations or any lights being turned on. You know my position. I mean, I'd love to support this initiative, but I have to still question it because anything that is done to highlight, although we have, I'm sure a lot of that has been done in terms of crime, what we need now is action. But basically, this National Day of Mourning, it came up very suddenly, just like that. And I'm going to tell the nation something. There's a challenge, yes, with our Governor General. For some reason, the Governor General doesn't seem to connect with the people of this country at all. No. He's not connecting at all. Probably it's not his fault, but there's something. And he's not the first person for those of us who have been around for a long time. And we have been looking at leaders. We can see the leaders who do connect with the people. You have a leader like Bustamante, for example, who connected with the people. Or unlike Michael Manley, who connected with the people. In terms of Governors General, you have, for example, Howard Cook, Floresville Glasspool. They connected with the people. The present Governor General, a lot of negatives out there about him, and some of it is caused by persons who have worked at King's House, and some of them have spoken to me. Apparently, they were not happy with what is happening there. There's also a case of that Aki thief, which is who I gathered had to go to prison. I don't remember the details. But also personality-wise, the Governor General is not reaching to the people at all. One would like to have a Governor General who, when he speaks, especially on moral matters, or matters which can be politically divisive, but he comes across as somebody with stable hands. But to me, he's just occupying the post of Governor General. And I'm concerned that although we definitely need someone, whether you call him a president or not, or what, we need somebody there, but then persons will make decisions in terms of constitutional reform based upon what they see, which is not probably the best thing to do, because the incumbent might not fit that job, and therefore you think there's no need for that job. But there's need for, I think, a president or whatever you want to call that person, because anything can happen to government. Governments can fall. You saw what, for example, happened in Grenada, when Grenada went through some terrible times, there upheavals and civil war, what have you. And when the killing started there, it was the Governor General who stepped in and asked for external help, because he was not caught up in the political infighting at that time. You had that figure who was above the political fray. So I want to believe that there's need for a president, although I think that the president should be nationally elected. The president should have some legitimacy, some following. I know some of you are going to say that the person who is elected more than likely will be elected along party lines. But funny enough, we have had political persons who have occupied that position, but they earn the love and respect of all. Floresville Glasspool is a classic example. Or Teacher Cook is another one. That reminds me, I used to work in one of his relatives at Air Jamaica. I wonder if she's still around. Miss Panton. Miss Panton, if you are listening, I'd love you to make contact with me. 876-816-5261. Right? So if anybody's listening to me now and you know her, tell her that I've been trying to make contact with her. So, Mr. Governor General and those who work closely with you, your days might be limited. So it seems. And I don't know if they can help and guide you. But for some reason, you're not touching the hearts. And if you're not touching the hearts of the people, then you can't really have any impact. So when you call for this National Day of Mourning, I don't think the nation heard at all. No, they didn't hear. So those who are organizing this thing, you probably selected him because he is the Governor General. But I believe he's the second Governor General that we have had who really don't seem to have an impact. And there's one I know that he left that position early. He probably realized that he wasn't have the kind of impact. And I think, if my memory serves me right, he's one of the first persons who was appointed who had no political connection. You see, sometimes we blast these politicians, but these politicians, when it comes to dealing with people, they have developed their art, And it's amazing. You put them in there and make them Governor General, and they really do a good job. Somebody seemed to have started this thing about putting intellectuals there and putting a minister there. It's not working. It's not working. And that is why we have to be careful how we think we know what the people want and we think we know what is best for them. It's not working. And I must tell you, you might cost the Queen and the King, whatever you call it, of the United Kingdom. But some persons want to get rid of them. But there's a role for the royal family in the United Kingdom. There's a role. It gives them a spirit of feeling that's important. That is Britain, all the pomp and the pageantry when they have all these celebrations and when they're getting married and so on. England is not a very colorful place, And the royal family really helps to make it very colorful. The tabloids have a field day with the lives of the members of the royal family. So, I'm saying this to say that if you are going to elect somebody or select somebody to be a Governor General, please, let's have somebody who can connect with the person. The poor gentleman, he probably means no harm, but he comes across very stuck up and once your nose up in the air. That's how he comes across. And when he speaks like this, this black man who has moved up and, he sounds very intellectual. And whatever he says, it doesn't come across in a very genuine way. It doesn't come across where when he talks, it touches your spirit, it touches your heart. And if what you say doesn't reach to the heart of the people, the impact is going to be almost nil. So, back to this day of mourning, as I said before, what we need is a day of mourning, we need a day of action. And that certainly is lacking in this country. So, something needs to happen. Jamaicans need to wake up. I don't think we should depend on the Prime Minister. Why we expect the Prime Minister to lead? We have become a lazy bunch of people. We depend on political persons to do everything for us. You have young persons out there. It's time when they stand up and say, where I want to go. Well, there's one thing I know I'm very strong on. I believe in the death penalty. Notice I didn't say hanging because hanging is barbaric. But I believe in the death penalty. That won't be a solution. No. But I'm one of those who believe that we have too many murderers walking around and that we need to at least cut off that head of the dragon there. But then, as many persons have called me and they have said to me that, Vernon, the Jamaica is a crime factory and you need to shut down that factory. It is so bad now that if you shut down a factory, you might shut down the whole country. But unless we deal with crime, the economy is not going to take off in the way it ought to take off. Agriculture, for example, will not take off because the feedback I'm getting from across the country is that many farmers will do more, which wasn't for Prida last day. So, we have to do something. But rather than we cannot put your hand on our head and bawl and say, oh, we're in mourning. Things have to change. How are you going to change it? Put your hand on your head and bawl, and guess what? Pray. Nothing wrong with praying, but my God, man, you have two hands. Go do something with it. And when you are successful, God, give the hand them, Go do something with your two hands them. And when you are successful, you give God thanks to give you the two hands and a brain to think. Because when I was not using that brain to think at all. Now, another challenge I want to touch on today, before I get back to some music again, is that We are in the habit of when something happens today, it is news, but tomorrow it is history. We need to stop it. And even the crime, that's why that continues, because we just forget about everything after a while. For example, I think it must be over 4 years now, I mentioned on air that someone left a baby locked up in a car. That's by Lee's supermarket. And that we up and down the supermarket and made an announcement before we eventually found him. And when the gentleman came outside and I spoke to him about the seriousness of the matter, he just simply dismissed it. And he said to me, I can't do anything about it. I said to him, you will see. So I contacted the police. I said, been afraid? No, sir. My age, I've been afraid to tell about it. They can't come for any time. All right? Been afraid of nobody again. At my age on stage, we can't go any time. When we nearly go, so I'm not afraid of nobody. I contacted the police. I contacted, and it was Miss Gage at that time. I contacted the children's advocate. I hope I have those emails down. Those must disappear by this. And up until this day, I remember it was carried on one radio station. And listeners, up until this day, nothing happened. Now, if a child has been left in a car, police has not acted. The children's advocate, I do nothing about it. So what you expect? What you expect with crime? Boy, they more commit the crime because they feel they can get away with it. And then, even if you catch them, they will spend a few years in a prison, they come back out and you're back at square one again. And I gather very few of them pay for their crimes. So, what we need, if we are going to pray, we are going to pray and say, pray to God that our leaders make these decisions. Or you're going to have a demonstration that saying these are our demands on our leaders who are supposed to be accountable to us. Because I'm not asking you. Garrett poll now, the majority of Jamaicans believe that if you commit murder, you should lose the right to live. No matter what kind of intellectual argument you want to come with and talk about, say, when you take another man's life, is murder too. Or when you take another man's life, that's not going to bring back the next one. That is neither here nor there. The fact is, if you have deprived one person of their life, then you should enjoy yours. And hear the joke. When you continue to enjoy yours and you go to prison, you come back out and complain, say the condition bad. You're lucky. So you think what? You commit murder. No, Mark, you don't think I'm advocating for the conditions in the prison to be bad. We need to improve it. But when you can't even put up the word people them on the road, you don't know if you put them. A prisoner who murders somebody, you're going to spend the money and look after? Eh? So let me tell you something. Give thanks that you come out of prison alive, you see. Give thanks that you come out alive. Now, I'm going to mention some ideas. I've mentioned them yesterday, but I'm going to go through some of them again. And I'm going to come on for them until it's contribute because it's like we're a bunch of joking. Look how long we're talking about introducing back civics in school, right? Everybody who come on this program, up to recently we talked to the Prime Minister's wife. Why am I saying Prime Minister's wife? She's an MP in her own right and Deputy Speaker of the House. And she also agreed. And yet I can't hear probably have it. I can't hear if we started to teach civics in school yet. We've been talking for years about having fixed election dates. If we had that, we wouldn't be having argument as when you must call election. And the other side don't have no argument either because we don't do the same blinking thing too. When are we going to have a fixed date? Because that's a part of corruption too, you know. Because you don't have a fixed date. You can decide when you call it. So you just look when your opponent is asleep. I say, yeah, I get you know, election now. That's part of corruption. And you thought about a corrupt society. So you could have signed document, code of conduct till judgment come. If you do not have a fixed date of election, you have a system which encourage one person to con the next person, outsmart the next person. So when you have that, let me know. Senators should be elected and not selected. And I give you an argument for that already. Parliament made a decision and those who were selected in the Senate overruled the democratic group of persons who were elected by the people. Can you imagine that? I have some other suggestion, and I'm not going to come off them so long as God give me long life. that we need to set up organized youth brigades to carry out duties such as tree planting, emphasis on fruit trees across the island. Get the youth to be involved in building low-income homes. Youths could be given credit for work done, and the credit earned could be used for health expenses and also to cover tertiary education. All these ideas are out there floating. When are we going to take them up? There's a need to have a socialization program, a massive one at this time, for all young persons to participate in, I say up to the age of, say, 25, even 30. Program that you try to change behavior. I don't change behavior by just talking to them, because I believe you just call up young people and talk to them and change behavior. No, you need to work with them. They go on expedition, they do community work, they learn about their country, they learn about their political history and also the history of the country. When are we going to have that? I'm willing and ready to work with anybody, because I must tell you, I was in charge of a youth program before, which was very successful, which was all about socializing young people. And I'm proud to tell you that those youngsters have done very well. As a matter of fact, I think most of them have done far better than I have. So please, we need to go back to that. All right? I beg you for now. We need to have a national youth socialization program, and that will go a far way in helping to reduce crime. Well, time now to get to some music. We're coming here to the end of the show. Yes, it's now 12:40.
Upon serious thinking about this song, I thought of doing a reggae rendition. Now my name